Hello, everybody. I think we're live. I'm just gonna take a minute to make sure that we all survive the jump to hyperspace here. Okay, it says live on this thing. I'm getting the obligatory advertising, which is dropping a penny in my money coffers. And they said I couldn't make money on this channel. How about that? There we go. See, who knew you could actually make money doing something you like? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, just you can't live off of it.
Well, at least this little bit.
Yeah. I see someone is sad that Steve can't get his wife to work. Well, Steve's not even in the country right now.
Well, we had to spend a few minutes with technical stuff, but it wasn't because of microphone issues. So it's okay. Maybe the issue will be something else this time. I hope not. Well, hi everybody. Good evening. Happy Saturday. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. All that other good stuff. Welcome to another episode of Roadway Whiz Academy. And tonight we're going to do a live webinar featuring the cities of metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. The largest metro area in the state, I believe. I don't know what else would be.
Yes, Raleigh is creeping up. The great state of Mecklenburg, as we like to call it.
Is that what you call it?
Yes, that's Mecklenburg County, which Charlotte's in, but we used to call it the great state of Mecklenburg.
I see. Well, it's good to have you all with us in the chat, and I'd like to introduce you. See, tonight's player introductions are easy because there's only one panelist. So it saves me some time having to actually talk about you guys. But joining us is Adam. He's a webmaster and contributor of gribblnation.org. He's also been a resident of the Charlotte, North Carolina area for a number of years, and he's the perfect guy to have on for all things Charlotte roads. So Adam,
3 years here. Well, been in North Carolina for what? Oh God, 21 and a half years now. One in Fayetteville, 2 outside of Charlotte and Gastonia, and then the 15 so years in Raleigh, and then back here in Charlotte since about 3.5 years now.
Yeah, I forgot about the Gastonia part, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it is Gaston County. That's you may want to forget about it.
I didn't think it was very memorable myself.
Hey, Bob. Durham is not for everyone, but Charlotte's got a lot of banks. Let's see Bob in the chat. So I just saw him saying it's no Durham, but Charlotte's okay. I'm like, well, Durham's slogan. Well, one of my favorite slogans for Durham is Durham, not for everyone. And then Charlotte says Charlotte's got a lot. And then since Bank of America, Wachovia, and whatever, Truist, and other TIA. There's a lot of different things. We say Charlotte's got a lot of banks. So, a little joke there.
Okay. Well, let's take off with some announcements. I have to say that before we get started, I just want to go on a little bit of an aside here. We are coming up before Christmas and New Year's. But I think that what I'm about to say doesn't really have anything to do with holiday spirit and whatnot. I kind of feel very refreshed today. I don't know how you feel, Adam, but I feel like I've gotten a second wind today.
That's good. Well, I'm waiting for vacation, but yes.
Well, I'm waiting for vacation too, but that's not until next month. I guess to sum it up, I won't really tell you exactly what's going on, but I don't know, I guess somebody special took the trouble to share what they knew with me today. And hearing that made me reciprocate and share something with them. And all of this has given me a little encouragement for the future.
Well, that is good to hear.
And yeah, I'm feeling like today was a very important day.
That is good.
I think I'll look back on this day as very significant.
And it's not because I'm on the show with you today.
No, why would that be the case? All right, let's get into some announcements here. YouTube, but what am I uploading? I'm uploading North Carolina stuff. I'm going to be doing so through the end of February. So if you like North Carolina interstates and freeways, you're going to get a heavy dose of that for the next 2.5 months or so. In fact, today I just published I-285.
That.
I did a lot in North Carolina this year.
Yes,
I'm realizing that as I.
If you should maybe consider doing a Raleigh area and maybe tie in Wilmington with that webinar.
A webinar? Yeah, I could do
on
that.
Raleigh and Wilmington.
Yeah, I mean, I could do one for the Triad. I could do one. Well, I can't do one for Asheville yet because I haven't been out that way. But there's already a few episodes I could do that are North Carolina.
Yeah, if you do, then that gives you an excuse. And I know Bob will be excited to hear Brian LeBlanc's on the air again. But no, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of pictures of the Raleigh area. So if anybody's looking to reboot Wake County roads, I mean, I'm the guy to talk to.
Yeah, and then maybe we can even get Bob on there. I mean, Bob, the joke used to be with it whenever Bob lived in Durham in the Triangle, we'd have local road meet. We'd have one on a Tuesday, Wednesday night at the Sawmill Tap Room in North Raleigh anyway. And Bob would always come, and when there was always some new news on some new, 73, 74. It's like, all right, we're going to have a meet, and Bob's going to show up and say, hey, did you know that they just decided to reroute I-74 on this? I'm like, Jesus, Bob, again? Every time Bob showed up, it would be something else.
Oh, boy. Well, there's not going to be a shortage of stuff to talk about as far as
there isn't
for a long time to come.
Well, you know what? What will happen first? 885 opening, the East End connector, or you having a triangle-themed. Maybe you should just save it for whenever it finally opens. But either what will happen first, 885 opening, or you having a triangle-themed webinar?
Well, I would say I wouldn't do it unless 885 was open.
No,
I think it would be that.
All it is I mean, honestly, it's more here. It's literally a mile, and it's.
Well, I've driven the Durham Freeway, and I've driven the section of 70 that's
70. Yeah, and I understand with that with an interstate, but we can go in there. But I know I'm going off topic, but honestly, I mean, everybody's like within the hobby. Some people are like really drooling over it, and I mean, it would be great to open. It really is just a mile. There's not even exits on it. Like, let's drive and clinch. It's actually would have been more interesting while it was being built. It's just like it's 1 mile and you're going to blink and you miss it.
See, I think I've already clinched 885 because I've driven the pieces that are open, and I've also site clinched the new piece by drone. So
yeah, you got it. I think that's the newest version of clinching.
That's it. I've already done it, guys.
Count it.
Anyway, we'll save 885 for some other time. You see, real quick, a couple other bullet points I want to bring up. You see the Season 3 schedule here. You see where we are. You see where we're going. New Year's Day is going to be really interesting with 2 episodes in one day. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes together. And then there's a break in the rest of January, and then we're going to pick up again in early February with a great episode that I'm really looking forward to doing. So that's what's on the horizon from the channel. I don't know if you people have known this, but Charlotte is one of the unofficial capitals of NASCAR. The NASCAR Hall of Fame is located in Charlotte. The Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is home of the Coca-Cola 600, one of the more premier Cup Series events, is held at the Speedway.
Memorial Day race. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend, and it's held at the Speedway up in Concord, which is a short drive from downtown Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. And
I would just like to take a second here to acknowledge the three major champions in the NASCAR circuit this year. They're here on the screen, or at least their cars are on screen here. We have Daniel Hemrick in the Xfinity Series in the upper left. We have Ben Rhodes in the Truck Series in the upper right. Man, that's a great name for a race car driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Rhodes.
Yeah,
I wonder.
Rhodes.
I wonder if he likes Rhodes too.
I don't know.
Maybe. And of course, here at the bottom we have Kyle Larson, who won the Cup Series this year, and I'll briefly.
So I got a couple of interesting tidbits about the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Okay.
One, I've actually clinched the oval and the roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Where we live is probably 5 miles west as the crow flies, maybe 4 or 5 miles from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Enough that while during the pandemic, while they would have races and every now and then because it's quiet, you could hear the cars from where we live in Charlotte. So you could hear it. But they have at the Speedway a couple of things. In the Christmas, they have the Christmas lights at the Speedway. We used to go every year. We didn't go this year because we got tired of it when we moved here. So you go on, you drive on the apron, you go around the road track, you come around to the pit road, and in that area you can get out and they have village, but you basically drive the roval looking at Christmas lights. It's about 4 miles long. Wow. You go back out under the tunnel, and then you go and actually drive underneath the grandstands where like a tunnel of nothing but lights. Wow. It's like $20-$25. They do actually a lot of events. And then obviously last October 2020, when we were, some people trick-or-treated, some people didn't. They have a trick-or-treat at a drive-through trick-or-treat. They do it every year also at the Speedway. And you go in and back, and then you basically go from the back of the Speedway all on the apron through pit road. They give you, you stop there, M&M Mars is a big sponsor of NASCAR or was, I think they still, and you just stop at every spot and you've got like 10 to 12 spots of just nothing but like handing like big size things of candy. So I've probably in 2020, I think I did more road geeking on, Charlotte Motor Speedway than I did anywhere else. And so it is the NASCAR Hall of Fame. There's people that wish they should have built it instead of uptown. They should have probably built it out towards Concord where we live. I live in the Huntersville Concord line, but where it is. But yeah, so that's my little Charlotte Motor Speedway story. It's a big part of Cabarrus County where we live in Concord. They have a lot of different events there, and like I said, we've done more. I pretty much have been on the entire track, just driving in our Traverse.
Wow.
So.
All right. So they're gonna hire you to be the pace car driver next year.
Yeah, right.
Here's a few statistics on Charlotte as a region and as a city. As of the 2020 census, it has a population of about 875,000, and that number is probably not accurate anymore because it keeps going up.
Yeah.
How much has the population gone up in the last 10 years?
Oh, it's been going up. My thing is, and when we get to 277, I'll say it again, but I used to always, when I lived in Gastonia or when I lived in Raleigh, when I came down here to visit friends and stuff, I'd drive around the 277 loop because a new building was coming up, and you can see in the background there's a crane in your background picture in your slide. And it's the same thing. We had a company Christmas dinner at a brewery just north of Uptown, in North End, and I hadn't been to Uptown maybe for 4 or 5 weeks, having drive through, and you can see something different every time you go Uptown. There's another building going up, and so we continue to grow. Yes.
Yeah, and there were a lot of cranes and construction going on south of Uptown. I guess that would be downtown. Is that what they call that?
No. Hold on.
Well, so all right. Can you please explain the difference between
first, anytime
uptown and downtown?
I told the folks in chat that anytime you said downtown by mistake, I had to drink.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you got wasted.
But uptown, so south of downtown is actually South End, and that's where you start going south, and the new not the silver line, but the blue line and the light rail traffic. And that had a lot of old warehouses and different things. It's my wife, when she worked for Krispy Kreme, they had an office down there. Lowe's is just building. What you probably saw was the new Lowe's Lowe's Home Centers, not Lowe's Foods, but Lowe's Home Centers. Lowe's Foods was the brother of Lowe's, but it's another story. That's building up. The South End is a great area you go through. Uptown, it was downtown for a while, and then they said, well, everybody has to go up. It was a marketing thing done in the mid-'70s.
Oh, so they did change it.
Yes.
Okay. They changed it just to screw with people like me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I mean, at least we got that sorted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, whenever I see tall buildings in a central business district, I call it downtown. I don't know of any other city.
Well, I grew up. We're one of the very few with uptown, because Charlotte is Charlotte. But just remember, Charlotte's got a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people. About over 2.5 million people as of 2020 in the metro area. Charlotte is named for Charlotte of Mecklenburg, the Queen Consort of Great Britain. She was the wife of King George III. And I believe she became the Queen Consort around or a few years prior to the settlement that became known as Charlotte was created. One of the other nicknames for Charlotte, you'll often hear it referred to as the Queen City. Sometimes you'll also hear it referred to as the Hornet's Nest. And this is a nickname that came about in the American Revolution. Our good friend, our friend of the program, General Cornwallis, who would achieve infamy a few years later up at Yorktown, Virginia, was stationed in Charlotte with a garrison of troops to secure the community, but his troops were driven out by hostile residents, as they said.
Yeah, that whole area. You have the mountain campaign. Kings Mountain Battlefield is about, if you just do 85, it's about 30 miles west of Charlotte, just near the state line. Mm-hmm. There was a battlefield in the Revolutionary, and that all stuff with the Hornets. Yep. Yeah. And hence the name the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah. So Cornwallis wrote in his diary that Charlotte was, quote, a hornet's nest of rebellion. And so that's where the nickname Hornets came from. And that is also where this transitions perfectly into the next slide. The Charlotte Hornets NBA franchise got its name. I believe the name was officially chosen in a public vote.
I wasn't here. That was when they started in the 80s. It might have been. That was it. They had a love affair with the team. And then when I moved here, so they built the arena at Tyvola. Off Tyvola. So if you're on 77, it's like exit 5 or 6, and it's not in Uptown. It was a little bit further. It was like basically between 77 and the airport. And Shin and them didn't really built with any luxury boxes. There was a love affair. Those Hornets moved to New Orleans, and then you have, as you can see, the Bobcats, and you forgot the Checkers. I'm insulted.
Who are the Checkers?
They're the They're the hockey team, the minor league hockey team. You have the minor league baseball team.
They're whose hockey team? They're AHL.
They are They are AHL, just like the nicer AAA. They're the AAA team.
Oh.
For the Panthers. Okay. Chubby Checker.
Got it. I have the Charlotte Knights stories on here.
Yes, I see that. That's great.
I deserve half credit for this.
You need to go back. You're going to have to resubmit the slides. Add the Checkers.
I know. In order to achieve full credit for this webinar, I'm going to have to go back and put that in. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But the Hornets, so they moved to New Orleans, and then the Bobcats came, and then they finally got the name back, and so we now have the Hornets as it is. You could get rid of the Bobcats and just put Checkers.
I think I could, yeah.
Yeah. No, but the Checkers play on what is known as Bojangles Arena, which is It used to be Independence Arena. It's off of Independence Boulevard. I think you have stuff with 74 on that, like kind of like a New Jersey type freeway that goes east out of town.
Yeah.
On US 74, and you probably I'll talk about that then.
Yeah.
But
the arena's out there.
Yeah. That's where they play. They did try to play in the new Spectrum Arena, which is uptown. See, I almost said downtown. Uptown. They played there, but they moved back to the old Independence Arena. And so the Tyvola Arena, where the Hornets first played, was not built with ice making. So the Checkers never moved there. And
really?
if they did have the Tyvola Arena that had ice making, maybe the Carolina Hurricanes may have went from Raleigh and played in Charlotte to start because the Raleigh Arena wasn't open whenever they moved.
Oh. And this was like the late 90s, right?
When the Hurricanes came to Raleigh, 97.
Yeah.
The Panthers, the Hornets started in, I think, 88.
Yeah, that's about right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Real quick on the Panthers, the NFL franchise, founded in 1995. They've played in 2 Super Bowls. They have yet to win one. The newest pro team in Charlotte is Charlotte FC, the latest MLS expansion club that will begin to play next season.
And a little inside North Carolina, the rivalry between Raleigh and Charlotte. Raleigh really wanted to get a team. Charlotte and Raleigh both put in first a couple years before the new team was awarded. Charlotte backed out. Raleigh was going to be in and then when David Tepper bought the Panthers, he brought his money and everything, and MLS wanted the money, and that's how the Charlotte got the team.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because Tepper is owner of the soccer team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct.
All right. See, because money talks.
Yeah, and Raleigh is still angry that Charlotte got a team.
They have the Hurricanes, though. It's okay.
That's true, but Raleigh, there's a big rivalry between it, hence the great state of Mecklenburg. There's the legislation, but just the 2 rival cities, and as Raleigh gets bigger, it'll never, Charlotte, if you think about it, Charlotte's becoming like Atlanta, and Raleigh's becoming like Charlotte. They just in size and everything else.
And like all 3 of them are still growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we know about Charlotte growing.
Yes. And then one last thing with the Hornets. The first Hornets name, professional team, because I see Rai Earl's alt channel said that Charlotte has a very interesting sports history. They had the old World Football League team in the 70s, the New York Stars, moved to Charlotte halfway through in that one first year, and then the next year the whole league folded. And that team played at Memorial Stadium, which is still up, and some high schools play that, and it's outside of 277. And they were called the Hornets so they had a World Football League in the 74-75 version, and they played the equal of a season, but a half a season in 74 and a half a season in 75, and that team was called the Hornets.
All right. I'm just taking you guys through some pictures of downtown.
Did you ride? Did you go on the Blue Line?
I did not. I only photographed a couple stations while I was there. But it was right.
MPW, that does look like, I believe you are correct, that is the main Charlotte, the transportation center one that goes through. And what's nice is they've just extended the CTC Connects has major bus connections there, but also now the Gold Line, which is a streetcar line. Hey, there's a Bank of America bill. The Gold Car Line, which just recently got extended with a lot of issues, including the bridge over 74. And that's now about 4.5 miles from that runs, and it still has another extension going, and it's a streetcar. They connect there. And the Gold Line will connect to the new Charlotte Gateway Station, which will be the new Amtrak station for Charlotte, which is underway. When we first moved here, and when we moved here, we actually lived 6 weeks in relocation at the View, which is a 50-story apartment uptown, and they had just started it. But the new Amtrak station will be open uptown. Right now, you have to go up Tryon to a little it's not worthy of a station for a size of Charlotte. So that will go through, and you can take the Gold Line, the streetcar, to the Blue Links, which runs from University of North Carolina at Charlotte all the way down to 485 and South Boulevard.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a pretty lengthy line now, isn't it? I think the links, or whatever the heck it's called.
The Blue Line is 25, so they first opened it from South Boulevard and 485 into Uptown, and then they finished it up to UNC Charlotte later. And It's very interesting. They built that part so it goes through the median of 29, which is Tryon Road, excuse me, basically from UNC Charlotte just before it really gets to Uptown. And that's pretty neat to see it go over and at grade along Tryon. And then it's very interesting, especially when you get south of South End, along South Boulevard as well, how the light rails fit in.
It's all really interesting stuff, and it's all pretty or relatively new construction, which is nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there was one other bullet point that I wanted to bring up before we dive into Charlotte. Now, you might have heard of this guy, Paul McCartney.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a
and Wings.
Yeah,
the lead singer of Wings.
I mean, he's kind of a below average musician. Never really amounted to much. But you might have heard of him. But anyway, today actually marks 1 year since the release of his most recent album called McCartney 3. And on a whim this past winter, I thought, well, what the heck, I'll give it a listen. I'm not really someone who listens to his newer music, but I thought, well, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. I find it to be a really fascinating collection of songs. And one of my favorite memories of this year traveling was in April of this year, my first weekend in Charlotte, in the area. I had driven US 74 out to Rockingham to document that. And the following morning, I was riding back towards Charlotte on 74, and I had this album on. And this was the first time I had really been out of town since the September prior, because we had gone through another huge wave of COVID. We had gone through a season 2 of programming on the channel, so I had not had the chance to get away really. So I guess it was like 7 or 8 months or so since my last trip of any kind, and I'm just driving down 74 on a wide open highway, and I've got these songs going on in my phone with my earbuds in, and it was just a memorable experience.
Good.
Very, very relaxing, and I enjoyed it very much. The album has been out, like I said, it's been out for a year. This is its 1 year anniversary of release. Songs such as Find My Way, Deep, Deep Feeling, and my favorite on the album is Seize the Day. Those are tracks that I encourage you guys to check out.
You may be the first person that said that 74 from Charlotte to Rockingham was enjoyable.
Well, I had a little help along the way. So I have a couple of old maps here on the screen. I'm sure, Adam, you can make a lot more sense of these than I can. Like I can see,
I'll try.
I can see the general progression of how things took shape in Charlotte in the years after World War II. I think there had long been a plan for some sort of circumferential loop around the center of the city.
There has been, and going through. Well, yeah, that's the 277, and I see you got a map here. So a couple of parts with the Independence. Yeah, so what basically became 277 was, so Independence Boulevard was first, and actually I'm going to go call it up. I have a feature on finding the old Independence Boulevard on Gribble Nation that used to be at All Things Nation NC when we had .com. But so you see really Independence Boulevard that went out, and you can see here on the bottom, you see that zigzag on the bottom map. That was what Independence Boulevard was. 277, as you know, does not have that zag. There's parts of 277 that's built over old parts of it. What you see where on the top left map, where it intersects 77, that part, and then it changes. It basically, 277 goes a little bit different. But yes, there was parts of what it is in Northwest Freeway, and you have Independence Boulevard. So a lot of that stuff was planned, more of the inner loops. So let me type this up so I can share in the chat the Independence Boulevard page. Which probably needs a lot of...
Yeah, this is a page that you've got?
Yep. Right. That Chris Curley sent me a whole... I had this at All Things NC for a long time. And and you'll see that one map that you have that has the blue and white from the Champion map in 79 it is. So on there's a lot of photos from Chris Curley from about 15 or some years ago that shows parts of 77 that still had remnants of the old Independence Boulevard. A lot of it's now gone because Charlotte likes to build new things. But I have found it. But Charlotte Independence, that was one of the... there you go. I just added that into the chat. That was one of the bigger ones. That was a bigger first real type expressway, urban highway in the state, and it was more. Didn't have a lot of interchanges. It's nothing like anything fancy, but it was really the first more urban highway that was built in North Carolina when that was done.
Yeah. Just finishing up quick here with maps. The other thing that was going on at this time was how 485 was taking shape. You can see how that thing gradually took shape.
Yeah, so
I would say the northern leg of it was definitely the last part to be.
Oh, finished. There's some good stuff that I used to track on 485's construction back when we were doing a little more newsy stuff.
Well, save some of that for the actual 485 slide.
Yeah, but it started from the south. It really started the southeast corner, and then the northeast corner, then the southwest corner, and then the northern arc was last.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that to go through. It took a while, and the completion of that, and Raleigh wanting 540. There's been a lot of back and forth between Charlotte and Raleigh on. Well, Raleigh would say, you already have a loop with your 277. Why do you need let us finish our 540 first? And then Charlotte would say, well, you have a loop already with the belt line. 277 is not a real loop. Yeah. So there's been a lot of back and forth between the two cities on that.
Jeez, they even fight about their loop highways.
Yes, they do.
Man. So that's a more macro view on that slide, and then here's a close-up view of the center of the city. Again, you kind of compare where 277 is today versus where the original Independence Boulevard was located, and there are some slight differences in the path of both of them.
Yep.
But this is more or less how the system appears today. Sound good? Okay.
And yeah, you can see that. So I want to go through here. Or see that East Moorhead and that like turn. If you're looking, it's where it says East Moorhead, and then it takes like a 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
That was that turn in Old Independence right there.
Oh, like it followed that yellow line there, that yellow path, more or less?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Serving the same corridor, more or less, but building a freeway on a slightly different alignment.
Yes.
I know that we have to really talk about I-77 tonight because you've been a Charlotte resident for a number of years, and you have seen the managed lanes come to the corridor. And I understand that there was a lot of controversy, if I'll call it that, surrounding their concept and their creation and all that stuff.
Yes, there is. I wish I followed that a lot more. A lot of that happened when I was still living in Raleigh. And I wish I had followed that a little more closely when I lived. It would have been great fodder for the blog, but oh well. But yeah, there's been a lot of delays. There was mismanagement. It did have an impact in the governor's race along with the bathroom bill, but there wasn't enough of an impact, I think, in northern Mecklenburg County with Davidson and Cornelius and Huntersville and the Lake Norman area that also helped to that McCrory did not get reelected. But there's been a lot of delays, a lot of poor, just a boondoggle would be putting it nicely. However, since it's been open, we use it every chance we get. which some people don't, but it's actually pretty well used. But yeah, it was a cluster to be, just to put it mildly. But they wanted free lanes, and they have to wait so long to get it built and to turn it. A lot of different reasons for it.
Yeah, because I
did you drive the toll lanes when you were here?
What's that?
Did you drive the toll lanes when you were here?
You damn right I did.
Awesome.
Of course. We'll actually get to see a video with the toll lanes later, but
it has one of North Carolina's newest tunnels on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
northbound.
I guess that is classified as a tunnel, right?
Mm-hmm. I call it that. My kids do.
Oh, it's actually,
that's all that matters.
Here it is on this next slide. Yeah, so I think one of the issues with this conceptually was that they knew that they wanted to widen the road right away, but they installed toll lanes when they had ample opportunity to install free lanes.
Yeah.
Is that kind of... I think that's
that's part of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Now we have toll lanes coming to 485, which is kind of a differently managed project. Hey, there's a tunnel.
Yeah, in the upper left. Yep.
Yeah. My kids call it a tunnel, like I said. So that is the northbound I-77 express toll lanes just after the I-85, or as part of the I-85 exit, 77-85 exit at that point.
Yeah, so between their conception, their construction, and their management, the lanes have been, I guess you could say, significantly unpopular. But they exist, and if you have at least 3 people in your car, you can drive them for free.
Yeah, I do have one of the HOV converters. I have not had a chance. Everyone's asked. My sister lives in Northern Virginia, but every time we've been up there, I have not been able to use my NC Easy Pass version or whatever, like Quick Pass on the HOV 3 lanes in Virginia. Just it doesn't time out. But one of the things they did add, though, were 2 really popular local only, or at least liked, is Lakeview Road and it's not Hambright, but there's another one, Lakeview, and I can't think of the other one. It might be Hambright. I'm right in front. Yeah, it is Hambright. That are toll lane only exits. Yeah. And they're both north and southbound. And then there's also a toll lane only connection to 277 and then to 85 north from 77 north. So it's not just, hey, basically glorified HOV kind of with it, but there are some exits for the express lanes on there, and we've used them from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that drive.
They're nice, and they go all the way up to the lake. And really, honestly, if you're going northbound or southbound on weekends or anytime, there is a lot of just backup on the lake because people are driving across, because it's kind of like a causeway. So they're driving across, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's a lake."
Yeah, right.
Slow down.
Yep.
So if you're on the toll lanes, which are only 1 lane each direction there,
yep, when
you're going over the Lake Norman, and I'm pretty sure you'll see it whenever your videos. It does help. Our neighbor always gets stuck in traffic or coming back. They have a house in the mountains. They're coming back, and they always get stuck at Lake Norman. And we're like, oh, we just take the toll lanes, and nothing happens.
Yeah, so. Yeah, right. 85 counterintuitively runs east-west through Charlotte Metro.
I got a good story about that.
Before you tell that story,
yeah.
I'll just say that really it's the main highway connecting the north side of Charlotte between the airport and the Speedway. Mm-hmm. There have been a lot of improvements to 85 in the last 20 years or so to catch up with the explosion in population in Charlotte Metro, as we know.
It's amazing how much in the 20 years I've done here, how much 85, and this is throughout the state. Now 85 is now at a minimum 3 lanes each directions from exit 10, which is Kings Mountain, where 74 heads towards Kings Mountain, Shelby, and 85 heads down to South Carolina, and all the way to Hillsborough, just before, basically where 40 and 85 split, in west of Durham, and it's been piecemeal in North Carolina. I remember the old lower connector, the old where 29 and 49 connected, where it went from 4 lanes to 2, and then it creeped all the way to 485 around 2005. They redid totally. It was a design build interchange where they did the 49 29 connector, and then you have to 485, and then they build it out further and further as you go towards Salisbury and Salisbury and then later Greensboro. But yeah, they started widening 85 in Gaston County to 6 lanes in the late 80s, and then over time they started working it up northeast from there in the 90s and 2000s. And finally finished actually in 2018, 2019, in the past years, a stretch from between Salisbury and Concord, in Kannapolis, excuse me. That's the last, and that's opened, and it's basically 4 lanes all the way from 285 all the way to Belmont, if I'm not mistaken.
So what's your story about I-85?
All right, so when I was living in Gastonia, I was working in the building supply industry, and we had a salesman says, take 85 east or west. And I'm like, Larry, 85 goes north and south. He goes, no, it doesn't. It goes east, west. there. I actually took a picture of an 85 sign. Being in the road, I took a picture of 85 Shields where it said north, south. So the next time he wrote the directions, I put it on the ticket and said, look, it says 85 north and south. Man. He goes, no, it's east, west. I don't know. He started getting all angry.
Oh, man.
But, so it goes east. It goes east.
Well, that's one of those scenarios where the two of you are right.
I know. I just laughed. If he would get all. It was just trying to get him all riled up about something. So it was fun. But so right here in that left where I was talking about the 2949, the lower connector, this here, the top left photo was rebuilt about 20 years ago. It's just started almost 20 years ago. It used to be it used to not be it was a half interchange like it was now, but it came in from the left. And that used to be an end of basically 85 at one point. Basically, it was a US 29 bypass. So up until sometime in the 60s, 85 temporarily ended here before it went, they built it on towards Concord and beyond.
Wow. I saw comments in the chat about cardinal directions on loop routes, and here's a loop route that is just more or less signed as inner loop, outer loop, and that is 277.
Yeah, you still see some north stuff like that, but yes. And I know people don't like the control cities, and I'll go on as saying here they decided to do it for local traffic. Maybe they could put, I don't know. I really don't care what the control cities are. I know as long as I know where I'm going. It's like state and interstate shields. I know I'm in North Carolina. I don't need the sign to remind me.
I'm very disappointed that I-77 North doesn't say Pittsburgh.
Well, Charlotte, you could consider Charlotte and Raleigh Pittsburgh South. So,
is that for what? Is that for economic reasons or like?
A lot of people move from the Pittsburgh or Buffalo or over there to the Carolinas. So.
Okay, yeah,
mm-hmm.
All right. The 277 loop took shape over the course of about 30 years. As you saw on the map that we had earlier, there had really been plans for a loop encircling down. I was about to say downtown. I'm not going to say it again.
I got drank.
Central Charlotte, going back to roughly World War II. You will see the 277 listed under 2 different names if you follow freeway names. The northern half of the loop is named for Stan Brookshire. The southern half of the loop is named for John Belk. These 2 folks were mayors of Charlotte. Let's see, Brookshire was mayor in the 60s, and Belk succeeded him and was mayor in the 70s.
Yep.
And the reason why I make the mayor for life reference is because at the time they were the 2 longest tenured mayors in the history of Charlotte, period. So I suppose you could say that their middle names should be Shapilov. This is a very cool urban drive.
277 is a fun. It's fun. It's quick. If you're driving through and you just want to do something different and really get a look at Charlotte, you can easily go around the loop and just see the whole city, all of Uptown, and it really doesn't take that much time. So if you're coming up 77 or down 77 on a road trip and you just clinching is not your thing, and you're not worried about clinching 77, or if you want to clinch 277, it's a very easy detour. It's a very good chance to just go around the whole city and just see a skyline from various different angles.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I like to do it. I used to do it all the time just to see what's different, because so much of the city, at least skyline-wise, changes so often.
Yeah, when I first arrived in Charlotte on my first weekend in April, that was the first thing I did. I drove out Wilkinson Boulevard and 277 loop around. That was the first the first interstate I clinched.
How was your Wilkinson Boulevard experience?
It wasn't too bad. I got nothing bad to say about it.
Okay.
I also took the drone with me on a couple of these weekends, and so you see some aerials that I got of various parts of 277. Those two previous photos were from the southern half of the loop. Here's a couple of shots from the northern half of the loop. Yeah, very fun urban drive. It's not very long, and it's only...
Hey, want to bring one thing if you can see. Look at the bottom right photo. And about the right... Go back one.
The bottom right photo?
No, back one to the southern half, because I guess I'm on delay.
I apologize. You're on delay here, aren't you? All right,
yeah, I guess so.
Right. You're going to talk about that off-ramp, right?
Not the ghost one, but oh gosh, go forward. I'm sorry. But anyhow, the one that had the Bank of America Stadium on it. Back one more to where it had Bank of America. I'm sorry, it must be my lag. You'll see like a ramp in the middle of a bridge. So in that bottom right, just to the left of your of the watermark or your logo, that is Old Independence Boulevard right there.
I think I'm on the slide right now, aren't I?
Yeah, so you see Bank of America Stadium. If you go, you see 277 there, and right to the right, there's a ramp. Yeah. That ramp where you see it's like in the middle of a bigger bridge.
Yep.
Probably if you look at it, you're like, what the heck? That was Independence Boulevard, and that's how Independence Boulevard had tied into 77. And then you go down that way, and you can see at the end of the ramp where it gets widened to 4 lanes. Then that's how Independence Boulevard went. So they took that out, but that little bridge. So there is actually some interesting road history in Charlotte on pieces of the history, and when I have the link that I showed earlier that shows the old history, Chris shows some better pictures of it, including some bridge stamps, and that's pretty cool. And then if you go to back to the next slide from the north end with the drone, you'll see a stub ramp that actually was an old ramp that came in at one point. That ramp was torn down. So that ramp was there once, and it's just remnants of a ramp that they ended up tearing down because of merge issues and different things like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even notice those two things until I was studying the pictures.
That's why I'm on the call.
Yeah, okay.
That's why you asked me to be here. No,
yeah.
but yeah, see that left is for everyone there on that here. You'll see that ghost ramp right there that you're circling. That was an old ramp that used to be there, but they had, but it was got rid of. I'll have to look. I think in the late 80s or something. But that was original to the highway. It was built. They just ended up taking it away.
Which was not all that unusual because, some of these urban freeways early on, especially the ones built in the 50s or 60s, they had very horrible geometry with merging and blind spots and
how bad that gets backed up right now onto 277 with it. That's a good reason why they got rid of it.
Yeah, I would agree. You don't live very far from 485, as I understand.
No, I live on that northern arc, the last part that be built. So between 85 and 70, the northern arc piece, just north of it, between 85 and 77.
So you kind of live in an area that was ground zero for construction of this thing for quite a long time. The loop was planned, I think, as far back as the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And they got started on it, and they progressed gradually on it, and it just took them, I think, probably 40 years.
It took a while. Now the first small piece,
but we now have a full beltway encircling Charlotte, with the last piece opened around Huntersville in 2015.
Yep. So the first small piece was down near 77, nearest Carowinds at the state line, and went out towards South Boulevard and then to 521 and 51 and out that way. And that area was originally built 4 lanes, and there's been a lot of traffic. In fact, they're putting toll lanes in right now, and I think they've done some widening and stuff. And that is one of the reasons why, and if you noticed on your trips in our fine state, Dan, that most of the loops are 6 lanes, 3 lanes in each direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Greensboro, Raleigh, Charlotte. They learned the lesson from that part of 485, and they changed. They made the state has all of them. I think Fayetteville's the same too, except maybe out towards 95. But the major loops, the 840s, the 540s, and that are all 6 lanes because of that first part of 485 when that was built in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and they realized right away that they didn't build enough capacity into it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I know they're talking about 540 is 6 lanes also, but I know that they're already talking about adding lanes to the northern arc of 540, but that's another story for another webinar.
No, that would be a great Wake County roads if they were documented. I'm sorry.
Hey, call me up, man. Wake County roads reboot. Yeah. So, like, what experiences do you have with 485? In recent years?
Traffic. So I live, the one exit that I usually get on and off is the first exit after 77, so just east of it, which is the Benefield Prosperity Church Road, and I forget the other name. It has acts kind of like frontage roads on each side, one way that has 3 traffic circles each one. It has a ton of so that's what I usually put up with because I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to drive it. But there is a lot of traffic trying to get onto 85 south in western Mecklenburg County near the airport. That interchange needs a couple extra lanes. There's always traffic backup because you have 3 lanes going up a hill on the ramps, 3-lane ramps. 2-lane basically ramps that merge into 3 lanes that merge into 1 while going up a hill before getting onto 85.
Oh yeah.
So you do see, and you have 16. There's a lot of traffic. So that's my experience with it, is a lot of traffic, especially at 85 in the west corner. 85 in the western part of Mecklenburg. Also on 285. At 77 down in the southern part where Carowinds is. There's usually backups there to get on. Not so much in the Huntersville side. So I usually do the North Arc from 85 all the way down to 77. I'm most familiar with, and it can be heavy traffic, and especially in the afternoons. And sometimes you'll see traffic on the ramps, especially from onto 16. Or from 485 onto 16, get backed up almost to the highway, and the same thing at the 85 485 interchange.
There's oftentimes people will observe and they'll look at the alignment of 485 and they'll say, well, why does it make the path that it does to dip down to Pineville and Matthews? I always just assumed that was political influence locally.
I don't know the story behind it. Sorry.
Because it does kind of, like the southern and eastern leg of it does kind of dip well out of the metro area?
I don't. That's a good question, and maybe that's something I'll research on the history of it. I don't think Roberson has it on, and I know Sephora didn't have anything about it. But that's something maybe I'll research and write about in time. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, because it seems like there's some sort of political strong-arming going on there between communities. But, that could be part of it. Something else that I really like about Charlotte, you don't see this anywhere else in the country, is something that's known as a Charlotte route. And we have one here in the form of this segment of it, known as the Billy Graham Parkway.
Old 521.
Yeah, the number 4 is also significant here, isn't it? As far as the Charlotte route is concerned.
What's that?
The number 4, the 4.
It's because it's supposedly 4 miles from uptown.
Yeah, it's basically a 4-mile radial route. Yeah,
and I've done a lot in like South Park and Myers Park and that area. It is marked, and it's not. You have to really keep your eyes looking on it for being able to navigate it. I don't know how much of it you navigated it. 520. So Billy Graham used to be the main way to the airport before they redid an interchange. And then 521 was on it for a while until about 15 years ago. It was on that. 521 used to go up South Boulevard, then cut across and go up Billy Graham to 85. And, maybe that's one thing I can do one day if I have time, is just to try to drive the whole thing. But I noticed it's not that well marked. I mean, it's marked, it's not bad, but I wouldn't try to navigate it.
Yeah, I feel like off of Billy Graham Parkway, the signage for it gets very shoddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember seeing a shield for it just out of nowhere, east of town, and I just was like, well, I had no idea I was anywhere close to it. It goes
over Eastover and a couple. It's nice as a little oddity. It makes it interesting, but I don't. As you can see, that's one of it, and you have to find it in. And they're kind of older, and they get weathered very easily because they're usually mixed in with trees, and you get that weathering from the trees onto signs and stuff like that. And I don't know if anyone's. I think it's just there. It's kind of like the old belt system growing up in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah,
that's true. It's a relic, and I don't know how old of it. That's a relic of the late 40s and 50s. I mean, I grew up on the Orange Belt and actually have been writing about it when I get a chance. But I think it's just a relic that it's just there, and it may have served a purpose years ago, and now it's like nobody cares.
It is an interesting little novelty, though, for people like us who have nothing else to do with our lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, well, we kind of talked about the Brookshire Freeway when we talked about 277. The Route 16 part of it, or the part of it that's exclusively Route 16, extends 277 to the northwest to meet I-85.
Right.
And I gotta ask you, because it seems awfully strange that this freeway comes to an end at I-85 the way that it does without some sort of formal high-speed interchange. Is there anything going on to address that?
No.
That just seems like a very
it's been that way.
Location
and you still have some at-grade parts, an old gas station and different things between it, and it's just a relic of kind of how things were built, kind of similar to Independence Boulevard and everything else in North Carolina, and they just never thought of it to upgrade, to my knowledge. And there might be something, and I can research it, but there's nothing to my knowledge that they ever really planned to make 16 from 77 to 85 really anything, because as soon as it ends, right where it hits 85, then you get like a lot of it's in an industrial area, older industrial. You have a lot of different things going all the way up 16 until really you get to 485. And then even old or along Roselle's Ferry, which is Old 16. But not to my knowledge, that interchange is a SPUI right now. Obviously, it wasn't at one point. I think I can look up and see if I have what it used to be on the website. But not to my knowledge, there's really any plans to upgrade that at all to anything. I don't know if they have really the space. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I would say this is a good candidate for future I-877. Hey, let's just add another future interstate to North Carolina. You know.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that. If it is a network and it is a system, and if it meets standards and it connects to the system, and it does.
Oh God!
So
I could get you started on that.
Yeah, it is, but I think people should take it off the other roads and put it this way: if they would have did a signage for the national highway system, it'd be a whole different thing. But the interstate is a whole network of a system. You have to think of it that way.
Yeah.
And I know that's not sometimes a popular point of view within the hobby, but oh well.
Which is very strange because you would think that people would just be gushing over new interstates.
Some are. There's others that just, it just depends on. I'll stop on that.
Go ahead, Adam. Tell us how you really feel.
It just depends on who's their influence on it, and it's just. It is. I mean, I think some people. I think it's also. There's a lot of different theories on why people are not as why people like state name shield so much. It's nice. Yeah. Me, I'm like, I know I'm in North Carolina. I'm in the middle of it. I don't need to remember what state I'm in.
That's right. You don't need to
visibility. If I find one, I take a photo of it because it's obligatory for the hobby and people, can happy. But I know what state I'm in. I'd rather know which direction I'm going versus what state I'm in.
I know you post a picture of a state name South Carolina Interstate Shield. It gets 3,000 hits on Gribble Nation. If you post a link to a blog post, it gets 100.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but
I know where you're getting at. I know.
I think you do too.
It's a sign hobby, and we can go on. That might be a good Gribble Nation just roundtable discussion. Anyway,
I've got some ideas for you after this show that I want to share with you.
Alrighty.
By the way, I put on the previous slide on 16, I put the caption of who turned the lights out. And the reason I did that is because Charlotte, when they built their urban freeways, they used to have overhead lighting on all their freeways, on 77, on 277. I think Independence Boulevard had a lot of it too. And the lighting was removed, I want to say sometime in the 80s. 70s or 80s. It was for energy conservation and something along those lines, and they were never put back up. Mm-hmm. So at one time you had the full stadium effect of the overhead roadway lighting, but you don't have that anymore in Charlotte, which is kind of
and they're trying to put lights back in now.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, you are seeing lights pop up again with the newer construction in spots. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We mentioned Wilkinson Boulevard, or I did a few minutes ago, and I want to make mention of this real quick. The boulevard is most useful for connecting the city center with Charlotte Douglas Airport. The boulevard itself is a pretty significant piece of North Carolina road history. It was the first paved 4-lane highway in the state when it was built in 1926. It was financed by a gentleman named William Cook Wilkinson, who was a banker and mill owner and a resident of southern North Carolina.
Wait, banker in Charlotte? No,
I know, right? Shocker. Mm-hmm. So Wilkinson's Highway was a North Carolina first, and it was a very significant first that got the state on the way towards building more modern highways in the 20s and the 30s. I also mentioned Charlotte Airport. The airport itself, located west of the city center, a few miles out, was originally built as a municipal airport. I want to say, when was that built? 30s?
I'm not sure. It's been there for a long time, and it's just kept growing and growing. It was a Piedmont hub.
Yeah, here it is. Established in 1935 as Charlotte Municipal Airport, the airport was named in 1954 for Ben Elbert Douglas Sr., who was mayor of Charlotte at the time. And he had some connection to the aviation industry, I believe.
I don't know exactly, but that sounds right.
Yeah. So that's where the airport name comes from. Adam, what's your typical Wilkinson Boulevard experience like?
I haven't driven that part from the airport to uptown in 16, 17 years.
Is that why you were asking me what it was like?
Yeah. It was a little run down back then. I don't know what it is like now.
I mean, it's a typical 6-lane suburban boulevard with traffic lights. I mean, it's nothing really all that special. On this slide we're looking at right now, I've got a couple pictures of the airport access roads, which come right off of Wilkinson Boulevard. You can always count on finding non-compliant signage in airport areas or in airport terminals and stuff like that. So I always make a point of documenting airport roads because you always find stuff that can be very unique from location.
And if you fly into Houston, you can since we were talking about signs. I think at the old, and it's been 10 years, but there was an old Texas, a state named Texas I-45 shield in one of the airport parking lots in Houston. That was 12 years ago. I don't know if it's still there now, but yeah, airport. You are exactly right that airport signage is usually different and unique.
Yeah. We talked about Wilkinson Boulevard being a first for Charlotte. Another first for Charlotte was Independence Boulevard, which was built as the city's first expressway. Somewhere around 1950 or so. It leaves the city center out towards the east and heads down in a more southeasterly direction towards Matthews. But this was the first, I guess in 1950s terms, they called it modern, but the first real limited access highway for the city of Charlotte before the interstate system came along.
Exactly.
I hear that there are toll lanes coming to this corridor at some point soon.
Yes. They are looking to do that. There's different thoughts, but yes, I think it is from Albemarle. Might be the whole thing. I don't know exactly the whole where it is. I'd have to look it up. But yes, there are plans to do that. I think all the way out to 485, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I read that they're going to take the bus lane.
Yes, the infamous bus lane.
Yeah.
There is also some possibility that I don't think the Silver Line is going to use that, which is a light rail project, but there was some part of it. But I've heard that if the bus lanes use it, it would be it would save them a bit of money that it's already there and ready to go.
Is the bus lane even open?
Not now. It was for a bit, but when they were building the Gold Line extension, it was closed because of the one bridge, and I can't remember what street it was. But I'd have to look and see, but it has been closed for a while. I don't know if it's reopened. It was amazing it was rare. They could have done a couple different things. There's some talk about light rail. There's some talk about, I don't think it was really planned that well when they did it on what they wanted to use it for, because it just never has made sense.
Yeah, it just seems like a waste in some respects. I don't know. I'm very cool on bus lanes in general. I think it's a very underutilized use of valuable real estate on highways. I think if you're going to put buses in a dedicated space, at least also open it up to carpooling or something.
So what they built, this was more of a boulevard, stuff like that. When they built this, and they slowly do it a little bit at a time, as you see Sharon Amity, they did it. They tore some stuff down to make room for interchanges, and you still have, so it's kind of, I guess that's what you guys see in New Jersey a lot, what Independence is like, from uptown at least out to Sharon Amity.
Yeah, like what we're looking at in the upper left photo. This is, that's why they call it a Jersey freeway. Yep, because you see this in a lot of places in Jersey. Yeah. And the traffic zips along at freeway speed, but you have right in, right out access to businesses, which gets a little interesting when you're trying to, stay out of the way of turning traffic and traffic that's pulling out in front of you. But it's kind of a happy medium, I guess. It's a high-speed road, but it also preserves that local access. And I forgot that I put this picture in this PowerPoint, but this is a nice picture on this next slide of this is the Independence, Belk, and Brookshire T-junction at the east end of the city center. So you have 277 running from left to right in this picture, and 74 comes at you.
That's a nice shot from the drone.
Isn't this?
I have some from.
Isn't this drone nice?
Yes.
You can do a lot of things with this drone. It really, I've said this before on past live episodes, but it really opens up a whole new world when you get to see things from this perspective instead of just from ground perspective, Because we all see pictures of road signs, and we all see pictures of flyovers, but they're always taken from the perspective of a driver or a passenger. Well, in this, you can get up in a drone and you're 400 feet in the air, and you can look down on everything, and you can see the entire landscape instead of what's just, a few hundred feet in front of you. Very useful asset. We talked about toll roads with the toll managed lanes on 77, and our last stop on the tour of Charlotte highways is another toll road, the Monroe Expressway.
Oh, the 74, which is actually a much needed road. People like it. It saves about a half hour.
Yeah, so I understand that the bypass is worth every penny, generally, because of its bypassing of Monroe and Wingate and those areas. Because I guess the original 74 alignment was a pain in the neck.
A lot of lights, a lot of traffic, a lot of commercial, just not fun. Sometimes I would take like 218 and a couple of, I know 218 and I can't remember all the connections. I'd have to look at a map, which I don't have in front of me. But you would take like these 2-lane roads just to bypass it because it was just that fun. It was that. So this has been, and I finally drove this for the first time going this past late summer, early fall, and it was like, wow, what a difference.
Oh, I bet it's night and day, right?
It is.
Yeah. Interesting that they signed this as US 74 bypass, and they kept US 74 on the original alignment instead of flipping 74 to the new highway and installing a business route.
I'm wondering if that's something to do with the tolls. I don't know the whole story on why they did that, but North Carolina sometimes will do a bypass, and there's they actually have some different things on it, but I have a hunch that might be part of why they did that. Because tolls, 74 West is still the non-toll.
Yeah.
They don't toll U.S. highways. I think that has something to do with it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Or that's probably the way, and North Carolina just said, well, we'll just call it a bypass and not really realize. I'm sure somebody that's more into the inner machinations of how DOT's name and stuff like that know, and AASHTO know the story behind it, but that's my guess.
Yeah, I think there is something to that whole tolling a U.S. route and needing federal approval to do so, and a bannered route may not be subjected to the same hurdles, so yeah. Because
it is, and one thing with the North Carolina Turnpike Authority, they always have to have a free alternative nearby.
Yeah, I think that's true nationally too, right?
I don't know. Maybe with interstate stuff like that, but I mean, you can build a toll road there. That might be true with interstate. I don't know, but I know North Carolina, it's legislated that there has to be a free alternative in the proximity. So the toll 540, the free alternative is NC 55. You have the managed lanes versus that. You have 74 versus 74 toll here, and then, I mean, the only one is the toll bridge, but that's a bridge. but I know that was part of the legislation years ago.
So that was the legislation that created the NC Turnpike Authority, or
when they created it, I'd have to
Okay. Because the Turnpike Authority operates this, and I think they also operate 540, don't they?
They operate this 540. They'll operate the 485 toll lanes.
Okay.
That's an NC. I'm pretty sure that's an NCTA project. 77 is not. That's whatever it is, that company. I think they're out of Brazil or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's like a private thing, right?
Yeah. And then
I think they're learning their lesson from that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. And and I want to say, and I know that the bridge that's going to connect up towards Kerala, that one over this up towards the Outer Banks, is going to be an NCTA project. And I don't know what other ones they have, but I know the 485 lanes and then obviously the 74 toll lanes, if they build that inside 485 along Independence, would be an NCTA project. I'd have to go and look and see where they're at now, because they had an ambitious project schedule, an ambitious toll road project listing, and 2 of them are dead: the Gaston Garden Parkway and the Cape Fear Skyway. Those I think are pretty much dead at the current time.
Oh, they're not building the Skyway? That's too bad.
Oh gosh, they need it. They need it, or they need to just build another toll bridge, something to go over the Cape Fear Bridge. But no, Leland, the town of Leland, when I was writing about it and following this stuff like that, they would we have questions for NCDOT. Will this cut the business area of Leland in half? They don't have a downtown. It was like there was a whole list of different things, and actually now this making me want to follow this stuff again more. I just don't have the time, but yeah, this is an NCTA project.
So the only non-NCTA toll road in the state is going to be the 77 managed lanes, which are a P3
at this point. This
point, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, that's it for the roads. We'd be happy to take your questions about anything Charlotte Road related.
Or about me. No,
Well, now join our regularly scheduled program with Adam Prince giving a 45-minute monologue. Take it away, Adam. Next Sunday's presentation, it's the annual year-end review webinar, which will take place on Sunday next week. So please take note of that. The link to that event is already posted on the homepage, so you'll be able to find it there. Usual start time, we're just doing it on Sunday, so I don't have to do it on Christmas, because as much as I like you guys, I'd rather spend time with my family on Saturday, so screw you guys. I'll talk to you on Sunday. Be happy to take any questions you guys have. Let's see, what time is it here? Oh, we got some time for a couple of things. I want to play this video for you first, Adam, because I was in Charlotte 3 times in April, May, that area. We didn't meet up until June, which maybe we'll want to tell that story in a little bit.
Oh, the New York Diner.
The New York Diner.
Official. Yeah. When we do the Raleigh one, like if I still lived in Raleigh, I would want to have a road. If I was still doing roommates Raleigh, it would be like you have to have breakfast at the New York Diner. That is like if we would ever have a meet there again, it'd have to be at the New York Diner. Yeah, just for the spellings, for the hamburger.
Oh God, yeah, I know.
But it's good.
I think that I was sitting next to you in the diner, and I think that was the first thing you pointed out to me. He's like, "Hey Dan, are you going to get the hamburger?"
and the server of fruit. You know what? It's just. When we lived in Nightdale, when we lived in Raleigh, it went there all the time, and the spelling errors, like the however they spelled Caesar salad, the Caesar salad, but they're the nicest people. They remembered us when we went there. But Doug has been there, Steve has been there, Adam Froelig's been there, you've been there now, Billy Riddle's been there. It's like anytime people would come to visit in the area of Raleigh that were in town, for something. It was like, oh, we got to go. You're going to the New York Diner.
It's like a rite of passage, isn't it?
It is, and part of me is like, oh man, have a road meet, and it's like, if I ever would go back to do one, is like, we have to at least have it would be breakfast at the New York Diner, because you don't have lunch or dinner at the New York Diner, but it is. Yes, you got to experience the New York Diner, and which we're very happy about.
We did,
the broccoli.
I'm gonna have to mention that on my year in review webinar,
yes,
and also when I do my year in review podcast.
And if we do a Raleigh area, Triangle area webinar, we'll have to talk about the greatness of the New York Diner.
I'm gonna dedicate like 3 slides to it.
I would actually say, I know there's somebody wants to have a road meet when 885 opens, and I almost want to say you should have it at New York Diner, but it's like too far away from Durham to really have it.
I think that would be part of the joke, though, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You gotta have it at the New York Diner.
Or because in the old, I don't know. I don't think Bob has been to. He moved out by the time we did New York Diner. But we used to always have our local Raleigh meets at the Sawmill Tap Room on Six Forks. So that would be the other part. That other thing you have to experience. So anyhow, I see you have exited 485. You went past the exit that would have been towards our house earlier, but I was too busy telling about New York Diner.
So I will tell you, since you brought that up, that I did film this video with you and the kids in mind. I thought this might be a video that they would enjoy, because this video takes you from the Huntersville area right into town.
Yeah, so this is pretty much how we go uptown.
Yeah.
We get off at the exit earlier, and I put a 485, and there's 3 unique interchanges in a row. You have the what is it? The Turbine interchange with 77 and 77. Then you have a DDI with Mallard Creek or Mallard Creek Church, whatever. And then you have the ones with the roundabouts that I talked about earlier, and then you get on 77 here.
I wasn't aware that there was a DDI in that mix now.
Yeah, the Mallard Creek is a DDI.
Oh, okay.
And I don't like that one because it has 2 sharp turns, a handful of sharp turns on it.
Oh, like the main line?
How far? All right, here's a question. Trainer Road, how far away is it on the East End New York Diner? The New York Diner is at Knightdale, if that's the question.
Yes, it's in beautiful Knightdale, North Carolina. About 6 miles east of downtown Raleigh.
Yeah, we're basically 540 in Business 64 has 64 east for about 2 miles to the Walmart turn right.
Yep. It's also right. It's also conveniently accessed via Interstate 87.
Oh yes, Bob did do the New York Diner. Whenever I had my 40th birthday, he came down and we went to New York Diner that morning. Bob got to experience the New York Diner.
Okay, so we can add Bob to that list. Okay.
Yes, we can add Bob. I forgot about. Sorry, Bob. You were too quiet. But yes, I forgot about the 40th birthday and Bob being in town.
I do want to mention this super chat before I forget again. Redneck Lover 22 writes in, and he gives us a generous donation. Thank you for that. He says 485 is worthless as a detour if you're going south on 85 to south. I guess he means 77.
Yeah.
The southeast quadrant is too out of the way. Thanks for the content. Well, thank you.
You can go. Oh, so here you see the toll lanes, and here you're trying to get on it. You don't have a direct. One of the things would be interesting if they had a direct connection from 45 to 77 through the toll lanes, but I don't think it's going through.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that wasn't included in this. I would imagine that there might be future provisions.
I don't know if they could. I don't know how they looked at it, but are you joining the great toll lanes here in a second?
I'm going to give you some toll lanes coverage here.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because you guys, when you guys go uptown, you pile in and you get in the toll lanes because there's 3 of you in the car, right?
Four of us. Forgot Nash.
How could I forget Nash? That's my
bad. You can't. Well, Colton, yeah, because Colton's it's Colton, but Nash, yes.
Nash is very small. He gets lost in the shuffle sometimes.
He's 3. Yeah, he's 5. So
here 5
we are
already.
Yeah, Nash is 5. Colton's 8. Colton will be 9 in January.
Man.
Well, that's good. So actually, I was worried when this was built with the left lane merge in and out, but I've never seen any issues, and I've never had any issues with it getting off of the toll lanes onto 77. I think that was actually designed halfway decent. You see, what was there was the Lakeview Road exit, which is toll roads only, but it's actually a pretty. It's been decent. You'll see people use it to try to pass, to go through.
Yeah, the toll lanes, when you put them side by side with the general use lanes, they're not, the toll lanes are pretty quiet for the most part. But
when I went uptown yesterday, actually there was a good bit of traffic on it. I mean, decent, nothing bad. Obviously, nowhere near what was on the free lanes, but there was granted this was April of 2021, but they're used more and more often. I don't know the numbers on it, but they're going pretty good. So what's interesting is here you have to actually exit here to go on 85, the local exits versus express. We'll have to see. When they built some new bridges here, I have to see what other videos you have. But this is a good start. This is how we go in. When my wife worked in South End, the first time we drove this south, I drove it with the family on it, and Maggie had driven it numerous times to go to work. As we're getting here, you'll get a nice different vantage point of the city because the toll lanes separate a little bit at the 85 interchange. And I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful view of the city.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, and it's a beautiful view of all the traffic whenever I'm passing it going on my way to work.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Trainer Red Mary, the toll lanes are variable. It depends on traffic.
Yeah, there's a base rate, but then depending on how many people are using the lanes, right, that'll change the toll rate. The idea being that you want to keep the lanes free flowing. So you want to at some point discourage use of them by putting a toll that's rather high. There's a little bit of a balancing act there.
Yeah, it's just like Houston
or DC.
Yeah, that's true.
Since DC might be like the most extreme example of that.
Since we have an East Coast bias in the chat.
Yeah.
No, DC. So this is where it separates, and there's the tunnel left. I don't know if I'm behind you on or not, but we just saw the tunnel on the left.
I think you're about 10 seconds behind me.
Oh, jeez. I think that's happened before for me.
I think that's pretty typical because where you're watching remotely, it just takes a few seconds for you to.
Yeah, so when you come up on that, and you see the city skyline there earlier. Since I'm behind, that's where my wife said, "Yeah, and it's a great view of I wave to the traffic when I pass it going down." Why did they build the tunnel? Because it's going under existing I-77 lanes. So for space, so they basically it's underneath the other highway. And then so here is one of the other ones. There is an express exit left right onto 277, which I used yesterday. Ain't I special? But if you see, I'm 10 seconds behind you. So on some of the newer bridges, they have a little thing that just says I-77 in like Arial and blue. I don't know if you noticed that in the video of it on the new bridge. It's like, why did you do this? There's no aestheticness to it. But
all of this is fairly new, right? It was completed.
This was finally. When I moved here, none of it was open. They were still building it in 2018 when we moved from Raleigh back to Charlotte. It was. What's the word I say? It was still under construction, and then it finally opened more so in 2019. Okay, so you're taking the happy. The
happy little flyover over to 277. Dave
Watts is watching. I'm sure he has comments on it.
It's his beloved.
Yes, it is. It is in. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say. So now we're on the 277 loop, and
there's the view. Mm-hmm.
You will notice that the speed limit has dropped to 50, and this is a pretty early interstate freeway. This section was.
It was built in the 70s, so it's I mean, it is. you can see the difference between this part and the other half that was built in the 80s.
Yeah. But as I said, like if you follow 277 in a circle, it's over before you know it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happening.
If I could get back to running, which I'd like to, they actually over Labor Day have a 5K or a 10K. I think it's part of it. It's either a 5 or it's a 10K that you can run on 277. I want to do that. I just have not done it. I mean, I've been back in my triathlon days. I was on, the 395 when they had the Nation Triathlon. I've been on the HOV lanes going over the Potomac past the Pentagon on my bike.
Wow.
On it, and I've been on 66 in DC, the old, the famous sign that finally got torn down that showed that I think 260. I biked on that.
Yeah.
I biked on.
Okay.
I've been on a number of DC roads on my bike back in my triathlon days.
Wow.
No, nobody does drive 50 on that road.
No. Yeah.
So what's interesting here the exit, I know you've already passed or coming up on it, and I apologize to the viewers because I'm 10 seconds behind. So when we come up on it, there's an interesting exit in the sense of when you get off the exit, you have to basically take a U-turn if you want to go on, I think it's 4th Street. So this exit here for 4th Street and 6th Street, you get on the exit, it comes right to the municipal building or basically. And if you want to go south into South End and all that stuff, you have to take a U-turn at the light to go through. It's just a unique Charlotte thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it's this. I think it's this exit. Yeah, I don't think it's Stonewall and Kenilworth. I'm pretty sure it's that exit. You have to turn around and then to get it's different.
Yeah, and I took the.
Yeah, but I highly recommend if you're just in the area or you're driving through and you've done you just want something to do and you want to see how different Charlotte looks. You get to see a city grow. And that's the fun part for me from 277. You see a city grow.
Oh yeah, all the stuff that we've just driven past looks pretty new.
You're getting off of. Yeah, I mean all of this stuff is new. So South Boulevard that ends up going into and all those apartments and condos right there. There you go. Who wants to live? Somebody would probably have a road dream to be have their balcony overlooking 277.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad spot.
Oh, they may not like the noise, but
yeah, the real estate agents won't tell you that part. Oh,
and at that exit, you'd be to let's see, what else one you want to do next?
Let's do. I'm going to show you the other direction of a part of 277. But yeah, that exit that we ended that video on, that was about a 15-minute video.
It's not. If you don't hit traffic, traffic can be bad. But if you don't hit traffic, it is an easy drive, especially with the toll lanes. I went uptown yesterday, and I came from uptown yesterday on the toll lanes north to home in 18 minutes.
Yeah,
and at 5:15.
Yeah. That's a good deal. I always like this approach to Charlotte.
There's a lot of good approaches. I have rarely take Tryon, and I did last night coming back, and that was a nice view of the city coming home when I left yesterday. So here we are coming on 277, and you're probably already there, so I'm behind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're already in South Carolina, so
we're
way ahead of you.
Well, hey.
Now, I actually think this is a good opportunity to mention South Carolina because it is part of the metro area of Charlotte does dip into that state.
Carolines.
A little bit. I mean, there's Rock Hill and there's a couple other.
Fort Mill, Tigakay, Lake Wylie.
Yeah.
Indian Land.
So this is certainly a bi-state metro area, but all of the freeways that we've talked about so far tonight have all been in North Carolina, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that South Carolina has a role to play in this metro area too.
Oh man, I just love our skyline.
Isn't that a great view?
It is I love our skyline.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that view. That's a very fun, underrated...
and it just keeps going. And these are, I'd say, 60% of the buildings are all probably maybe there depends. Not all the higher. I mean, there's still some tall ones that weren't here 20 years ago. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how the place is just.
So one of the things I want to say, go through if you notice they have uptown, they have it's not guide sign, it's place name type signage where they have the colors depending. They have attractions and then they do quadrants out. I can't think of it, but it's like red is one color, north is one color. Parts of uptown they've quadrant it, and they try to help. You'll see some on 277 and 77 saying what part of town it is and where you can find on the exit.
Right. Yeah.
It says uptown, and because I'm behind, it's hard to say, hey, look at that sign there. But if for the viewing audience, when you see that, you'll see that.
Yeah. Yeah, they are very descriptive, and I appreciate the length that they go to try to highlight.
So this is right here at the 74. If you're going on this part of 277 at Independence, it can get very backed up. As you see, there's a short ramp from 4th Street and everything right to the Independence Boulevard exit, and it's cutting 4 lanes, and only 2 lanes cuts over to stay on 277. It can get backed up, and there's a lot of merge and weave issues there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have a lot of lanes splitting and coming together there, and there's not a lot of room there because you've got exit ramps immediately on either side too.
And for everyone, since we talked earlier, the ghost ramp that we were talking about that used to come that was torn away, and it was like a bridge ghost ramp. It's pretty lengthy. Is coming up on the right after this hill on the right. You might be able to catch. I've been lucky to stop in traffic once it got a picture of it, and everything else. But yeah, it's coming up. It just passed it, at least on my feed.
Yeah.
But
it's because you were stuck in traffic. That's what allowed you to get the picture, right?
Yeah, it's coming up here.
So you didn't have to stop in the right lane to get a picture of
No, I did not have to do that. No,
you didn't.
I'm not that hardcore of a road geek. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're a solid man.
No.
You gotta. Only real road geeks do that.
Hey, yeah, this is just since you guys are talking about 885. Feel free, and I have one right here in the office in the bookcase behind me. If you have not guessed for the 885 opening date, we have Gribble Nation. We now have Gribble Nation stickers that you can put on the back of your car. And if you wish, and if you guess the name one, I will mail it to you free of charge.
If you guess the date,
the opening date for 885. Yep.
Yeah. So the window stickers were printed by a fellow road geek friend of mine, Jason, down in New Orleans, and he was very kind to help us out with that. And you can win one for yourself if you correctly guess the date. I guess we'll do.
Some people have commented in various Facebook groups, on a blog. I haven't done the blog part, but on the AA Roads forum. So I have a list of that, and I'll look back at it when it does. But I might actually do a post of it. But the other thing is, I'd like to, in time, when I have time, and maybe here over the break, be able to say, "Hey, put an order in if you're interested."
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing with that, because if you saw in the. I put a post up today of our resident male model posing with some Gribble Nation apparel. So,
is that Doug? I didn't see. Who's the male model?
Oh, you haven't seen the post?
No, I haven't seen. Oh, so this is what you're seeing here is where they're building where the streetcar construction was doing for the Gold Line.
Yeah, so I loved doing this video because I love the perspective that you get when you're driving on the tracks and it looks like you're actually in a streetcar rather than in an actual car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was actually one of my favorite videos.
I like this video. I really do.
So this will take us along the entire Gold Line, more or less, this video. Adam, what's the story with the Gold Line? Is it open at this point? Or?
It is now open. There's delays. It's a streetcar line. There's been some different things with it. There's been delays. There's your normal mass transit building construction delays on it. But it is a Gold Line. It's a streetcar. There's another phase if they ever build it that will extend it to the west and to the east. It's about 4.5 miles there. When we talked about the Blue Line earlier, someone commented about the Charlotte Transportation Center. It connects here, but this is nice. I have not done it yet. Not been on it and have not. This is a nice. I really like this video to give that view. So I think this is something actually, if you share that, I think some people in Charlotte would pick up as well.
Yes, yeah.
Just because there's a lot of the Charlotte urban development folks that really like this stuff. And one of the things, yes, who said that? MPW, the Road Geek. You can still do this now with the line open because it's one here, and it runs 30 to 45 minutes, so you can do that. You might get behind one on that part of Trade Street that you were on earlier, but most of it is on multi-lane streets like you see right now. And then you had questioned, I think Trainer Red Mario said about the 885 stickers. They're not I-885 stickers. They are Gribble Nation stickers with our logo. And it says Gribble Nation because every road has a story.
That's right.
So that's what those are. They're not 885 stickers. That's no. That's not it. These are. We have had pictures of them on the website, and if we were doing a video chat, I'll share it. Maybe later when we do a video chat, I'll share it. We can show it again, but we're trying to get merchandise a little bit. I like the window stickers a lot because it's kind of, I like it. So that's me.
Yeah, the window stickers are.
That was my idea. If you don't like it, then you can all blame me.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I was really the facilitator for that. The window stickers were really easy. You
were. Dan got it together. I had the idea. Doug and I kind of had the idea. Dan's the one that gets things done, as you can see, and so he got it done.
Yeah, I'm the doer of this group. I really think in some ways I'm the workaholic.
Oh yeah, I'm
always doing something.
I can imagine the Gold Line being slow. Yes, it is very slow. It's a streetcar line. They've had delays. They're running at 45. Intervals are. It's currently, to be honest, there's a lot of disappointment on the Gold Line because they think that it can do a lot more, and there's been a lot of disappointment because it's just running delays and everything else. So, yeah, it's not. When will the other part of the Gold Line of the in Uptown Official? So it was a mile long that went from the CTC east. It has now gone further. In fact, I'll go look that up now. Charlotte Gold Line while Dan's stuck at the light.
Yeah, this is the part where I get stuck at the lights.
Yeah, and so currently. Yes, you can still. Yeah, I mean, you can drive it right now. Even the streetcar lanes are open. You still drive it right now. Right down Trade Street. It is currently 4 miles, and it runs from French Street, basically Johnson C. Smith University, and it hits 77, which you saw earlier, all the way to just over 74 at Sunnyside Avenue. From Sunnyside, it's hoping to go past the plaza and towards Eastway in the Eastland Community Center. And then if you go west, it's supposed to go out towards 85 in the Rosa Park Transit Center. So they're hoping that another, I think, 2 or 3 miles will go on that. That is the story right now.
We just passed the Charlotte Hornets Arena.
Okay, and there's the CTC. So right there, yeah, so you've already passed. But that big overpass, that's the Blue Line right there. So there's a connection to here. It used to end right here and then go east.
Okay. So the section from here that we're on now has been here for a little while.
Yeah, it was like a mile of it, and then they added further onto it over 74.
Okay. Yeah, I find these streetcar lines to be really interesting. You don't they're not in cities like New York, and so like I'm not used to really seeing them a lot, but I find them really really neat.
Yeah, so the Gold Line, I just haven't had a chance to ride it. The Blue Line I've been on a few times. We take that. We'll get it on the Blue Line around UNC Charlotte and take that in if we've gone to like a Hornets game or two, and the boys sometimes just want to ride it because they're kids and they like trains, and so we'll ride that. We will ride it sometimes to something uptown. I almost went to the ACC championship game but didn't, and I would have probably thought about taking the Blue Line, but then you'd have a connection to Bank of America Stadium. Probably would have been better driving. But when we go to anything at the Time Warner or whatever it is called this week arena, we'll take the Blue Line.
Well, yeah, I mean it makes sense because it drops you off right there.
So
right?
David's saying they're looking the Silver Line. I can't remember if they had looked at it to be a subway. I just don't think Charlotte had the patience or really the money, and they still have the space where they don't need to have a subway. But I think the Silver Line, they had considered it. I have to look and see what the is. I don't know enough of it off the top of my head to really comment on the Silver Line construction. I mean, if built, it will run from basically Matthews, maybe even Monroe, all the way to Belmont. It'll go past the airport, basically parallel 74. But I think the subway part of it has been ruled out.
Yeah, and it's not one of those things where you can just say, "Oh, well, let's just plop in a subway. That's no problem." There's all sorts of logistical.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh built a subway in the '80s, so I mean, it's possible. In the early '80s, we built one, the T, but that was a whole big thing of digging. I mean, that's one of.
The engineer in me will always point out that once you start digging, it can get
this is
really
nice.
messy.
I've not done this. I really like this video, Dan, to show. I'm glad you did this. This is really good because you can see the pullouts and the bike lane and different things that they're trying to do. And this gives, I think, everyone a little bit of a different view of what Charlotte's like. I really like this. And I almost, when the link, I might try to, well, I don't use my personal Twitter anymore because I can't remember the password. But Charlotte, but I think if I'm not mistaken, Charlottetown Avenue is an old part of Independence.
Is it really?
I'm pretty sure.
So there are these little
they
remnants
named
of
the
it still.
different parts of it, so that's a remnant of old Independence.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said, this was one of my favorite videos to do.
Yeah, this is really good, and I can see the benefit of it. I just don't think that they're gonna get what they thought until they run it accurately. It's good to have. It goes through areas and connect. And one of the things about the Blue Line through South End. And even now in NODA, the North Davis neighborhood, they're building a lot of development along the transit line, especially South End, where they're using it. One thing I've noticed with Charlotte is that they have built transit-oriented development. I wonder how much they'll try to do on some of the parts here. It's kind of already established. But the Blue Line, not out when you get down towards South Boulevard, the southern and northern fringes is more of a suburban type thing, but the Blue Line definitely, as you get closer to Uptown, and especially south of Uptown in the south end, there's been a lot of transit-oriented development on it. We go to South End a bit. Like I said, when my wife still go, especially when my wife worked down there, and you can see it. So they've done a good bit. If anybody comes down to South Charlotte and wants to and they are on the Blue Line, definitely take it. Actually, from units, do the whole route, and when you're in the South End area, you'll see that. And especially as you start seeing it on the north, they're starting to do more north of Uptown, but there's a good bit.
Yeah, and you can clinch a new rail line while you're at it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a nice width, and then you can, or you go to Raleigh by that time. Maybe the Charlotte Gateway Center will be open. You can take the train from Raleigh to Charlotte, and then you could really have a good time. And there are a lot of people, just so you know, that take the Amtrak train from Raleigh to Charlotte for Panthers games.
Oh, okay.
The LeBlancs have done it.
Well, I guess that makes it official, right?
That's official, yeah. So this is 74 headed into town?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the east.
Okay. And we didn't see Bojangles or Independence Arena or stuff like that. That's great. You might see it on the west if you do a westbound video, but that's no big deal. But you can see those uptown guide signs about to go through Imaginons and Discovery Place or more kids related. We've been to Discovery Place a number of times. And Charlottetown Avenue is Old Independence, and that they took 27 on it, but Charlottetown Avenue, if you followed that would be the original Independence that got kind of killed by 277.
Yeah. But here's that 74 277 mixing bowl, or whatever you want to call it, right at the east corner of Uptown.
Trainer Red Mario, I don't know who you are individually, but they are starting to. There was a story in the Charlotte Ledger just recently, and that's a Substack newsletter thing, that they're starting to do more development north of Uptown and North End. There's about 7 projects that are gone that they haven't done that. So you're starting to see I think you're going to see more of that occur.
Well, they've pretty well developed Uptown at this point.
Yeah, there's still more.
Is there more?
There's if you go towards Bank of America Stadium, there's the Charlotte Pipe Foundry Company that's being sold. Tepper is slowly buying land to basically everybody thinks he's going to build a new stadium.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to turn that into like Panthers Village or whatever?
I don't know. He has some plans on that. Basically, he wants to stadium. He wants to host the Super Bowl.
Right, because Charlotte never hosted the Super Bowl with that stadium. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
that gives them an excuse.
They're not done, but you're starting to see it go on the other side. Yeah. Some of the other stuff start to cross 277. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, this will give them an excuse to build another $2 billion stadium, and
With Charlotte build more freeways within the metro area, you're gonna see maybe some upgrades. 16. Well, no, they're just widening it. They'll never. I don't know if they'll ever build the Garden Parkway. What you're going to see is 74 slowly be upgraded inside Independence with those toll lanes and different things. So you'll get a Jersey Expressway freeway. I just don't know if I don't know of any other freeways really from what we see that you're going to see built in Charlotte except for widening and everything else.
Yeah, and I think
I just don't see it. And Raleigh, Raleigh. One of the things, because 485's done, one of the things North Carolina has done well, and I don't know how much of it was done for 485, they're able to reserve land ahead of time. So Y540, granted there was the southern part that's going from 55 to 40, has had a good start, as they've had that land reserved for a long time that you couldn't build in that right away. And I forget what they call it. And then they were studying it again to see, because I forget if some muscle or something like that. But so, so that's made 540 easy. I don't think you'll see that. The only thing you'll see, if you go Charlotte metro area and you say 74, if you're going all the way out towards Rockingham, and then you got 74, Shelby and Kings Mountain, sure, but I just don't know if you're going to see anything really immediate metro.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they would put anything.
Where would they put the new stadium in Charlotte? Right next to this Bank of America stadium right there. If you look, you'll see where the Charlotte Foundry is, and that's where it's going to be.
Yeah. So Super Bowl 62 or whatever is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, we'll see. I go through it. It's a fun thing to follow. And then I know we got off subject from the roads you see here, but
honestly, I like that discussion just as much as the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You want to turn the video on so you can show us the Gribble Nation stickers before we sign
off? Sure, I'll show that, and then
Just make sure you have your clothes on before you turn the.
Yeah, I do. And you guys can see.
Oh, hey, there
I'm on. There I am.
There he is.
I'm in the office. I'm in the office.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the Gribble Nation sticker and what they look like.
Okay. So here is the sticker. I'm waiting for it to come up. I'm a couple seconds behind.
Yeah, you might be holding it up for a few seconds.
Yeah. All right. I'm waiting. Yeah. Go here. But here's the sticker. And we want to start, I don't know, giving them away, maybe even selling them a bit. But that's what we're going to do over time. As you can see, there's also, I know I'm way lagging here. There's the US 80 shield, the blue US 80 shield. And everything else I got to clean up in here because my wife was using this office while we were remodeling the main floor. And now that's done and she's just waiting for her desk, I'll probably go through here and clean up the office a little bit. But that's it.
All right, very cool. So we'll be talking about what we're going to do with those stickers on our Gribble Nation page. I think once we've figured out what we're doing, and also once we have a contest winner. So submit your opening dates for I-885 if you have a guess. And then
oh God, I'm glad I'm getting a haircut on the 27th. And you can see the kids have made me lose my hair.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd rather have a Super Bowl being hosted in Cleveland.
Well, I believe a Mr. LeBlanc would have something to say about that, right?
So I'm guessing Ryan Earls is not really the Browns fans because the real Browns are in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true. The real Browns are in Baltimore. The fake Browns.
Yes, the real Browns are in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just an old. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's always easy for us to just have a good dig at Cleveland. So nothing personal.
Yeah, it's just it's in a DNA of a Pittsburgh fan.
Yes. Yeah. Ask Jeff Kitsko.
Yeah. But Adam, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that we got to do this. It was great having you on. And
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts for us before we sign off?
No, I'm doing no. Just everyone, thanks for your time and the questions. And I wish there was a way we could more talk back and forth, but I hope I answered some and brought some insight to you guys, to Charlotte, and just a little bit on how we act in Gribble Nation too. But everyone, true, and the real Hornets are in New Orleans, just like the real Jets are in Phoenix and not Winnipeg. Yeah, at least the Flames. Yeah, but anyway, everyone have a great Christmas and holiday, whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate, and a great New Year. And no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being part of the ones earlier. I mean, from the infamous West Virginia Turnpike and I-88, and anytime you need someone to fill in as a guest, I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah, it's always great to have you on, Adam. You're very knowledgeable, and we always have a blast when we have you. So thanks for doing this, and we look forward to seeing you next time. And I hope you guys out there who watched this episode enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you liked this video, make sure you click the like button if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. I don't know why you wouldn't have still, but if you haven't, then please click the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on everything that's happening in Roadway Whiz Nation. We'll be right back here next weekend with another live episode. For Adam and all of us at Gribble Nation and Roadway Whiz, I'd like to sign off by thanking all of you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Adios, amigos.